by creating a new, the cost centers are dimension values for a dimension called cost center. So dimensions are set up in the finance section. If you press finance, you will find dimensions here on the right side. Then we have dimensions. These are the dimensions that we have created so far. Each dimension has attached a list of dimension values that we will then work with on our areas. So if I go to cost center, I just have it with my cursor mark here, and then use this option for dimension and dimension values. I can see the list of cost centers that we have created here. I have created the ones that you initially sent me. Yep. The additional one for Yucca, and then the ones that we were using for the sample setup, which had the 9-digit numbers from the file we received. So that is what is there. If you need to add additional ones, just by pressing new, you will get like a new line here, and then add the number. You don't have, then you have there 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2, I think I have one too many. 1, 2, 3, 4. For restaurant corp, right? So just the number and then
okay, well, that seems easy enough.
I'm sorry?
I said that seems easy enough.
Yes, it is pretty straightforward. That is not really 1, 2, 3. I think that's 5. And then on the name here, it's G. You want to separate that or just have it like that?
That's fine.
Okay. So this has a delay on updating here, but it will just come up at any given point. So that's how you create additional dimension values. If you want to create additional celebrities, you go to celebrity, dimension values, and then you have these ones here. It's the same kind of concept. So that is to create new general cost centers or new dimensions in general. Okay. I have set up the dimensions to be presented in your transaction screens. And this is how it works. You have unlimited availability to create as many dimensions as you want, as many ways of looking at your data you want and different criteria. But you have to set up 2 global dimensions. Those are going to be like everywhere in the system. They have a little priority, and you normally use those. Those are the ones that you use the most in all of your transactions. In addition to these 2, you have 6 additional ones that you can create shortcuts to those, so you can make them available on your general journals as columns, or in your purchase invoice or purchase order also as columns in the lines, so you don't have to open an additional screen to pick up the dimension. As of 8, like 9, 11, 10, whatever additional dimensions that you create, you will have to open this additional screen to where you find the dimensions, and then from all the dimensions, select the one that you want and select the value. So we normally work with the ones that are more, that you use the most in the system at any given point, and the ones that you have particular interest in terms of reporting. So in the general ledger setup, you have already the dimensions set up here. I have set up as the global dimension 1 cost center and then platform, but you can also change platform. I don't know if you use more platform than concept or than celebrity. I don't really know how you will manage that. So I gave these to us first and second, but you can change them. I'm almost positive that the cost center is going to be really the global dimension 1.
It will be. Cost center will be the global dimension 1. Some of them, the others may or may not have any value in them when we're doing anything, but cost center will always have a value.
At any given point, whenever we move to have other companies, then you might want to add entity as part of the thing. I mean, now you don't really, doesn't really matter to you. Everything is going to be posted to your BDC company entity there, and you will not even notice. But whenever you have additional entities, you might want to have that added to the mix here. So
we definitely will. So should we just do that now? Because I mean, I want entity to be coded on all of them, everything that we're doing today. So if you put those
it's going to be coded anyways. This is just for you to have it, but it will be coded anyway. And whenever we move to have more entities, entity will have to be the global dimension 1, because that's the only way you want to make sure that all of your transactions have that entity code, and then you can separate the entries from all the companies. You can have a complete balance sheet and P&L for each of the entities. At the moment, you don't really need it to be, but you can also have it like that.
Okay, great.
That's for the general ledgers to top. And then let's go to create new GL accounts. So if you go to finance, you have on your left side here the chart of accounts option. Press there, you get the chart of accounts list. It's the same here, new, and then you state the number. If it already exists, it will give you an error message telling you that that number is already used. And then we just take this account from the looks of it is a balance sheet account, but the number.
It is a balance sheet account, yes.
Is it in assets?
Let me get it real quick. I forgot that we laid it out like that. So let me just give you the information really quick. Just 1 second. Okay, let me get back to so I can see your screen. Yes, it's going to be assets. And then on the subcategory is going to be intercorporate, intercompany.
Okay. So that's the only thing you need to set up your account, nothing more.
Okay.
If you want to create a new one, you can create it from here, or you can go back to the list. If we create it from the card, it will just recreate in cards there. These accounts that you're using now for income, are you going to be using them now?
Which ones? I'm sorry?
These new ones, the ones that are 400, I'm assuming it's for income.
No, the 400 is for COGS.
It's for cost of goods sold. So how are you gonna get that information now? Because now you don't have that information. You're gonna use that in future.
Well, we actually have Yucca that has COGS.
But do you have, because what I'm guessing is that, well, you get the information from them on what you are selling. In your files, you only get income, but you don't know exactly what you are selling and what you are spending there. I mean, there's no information related to how to segregate what you are selling in the files that you send me. I don't know if for this company you will have that info.
Yes, so Yucca will be just like a regular
okay.
Like a regular company. It falls under VDC. It's basically a cloud kitchen, and so it will have a true P&L. That's why it has a different cost center looking number, because it exists today, and we're just using the same cost center number.
Okay. So in that case, you might want to have this segregation as a dimension 2, or you can have it as different accounts like the way you have it. So at the moment, I'm going to create them as different accounts. And it's just cost of goods sold is the category, and the subcategory will be food cost of goods sold for chicken, right?
Right.
Chicken is the first one. So. And I think you can create the other ones, so I don't do the practice for you.
Yeah, the only one I just want to see, because we used a few of them in the journal entry template, I believe. Christian, are there any of these additional ones that we need to create that are in your journal entry template? Or are we good?
The ones that you didn't already list in the email?
Yeah.
Not other than like furnitures, fixtures. There's one other one I don't see it. I think it was on a different period. I'm already moving on to period 4 or 3.
That's okay, but I mean, in the journal entry that she's going to upload here in a few minutes, there are no GL accounts that we need to create for that.
No, I don't think so. Other
Okay.
than the licenses one, because I think I put that under the one that wasn't G&A corporate or restaurant.
So let me just look, Rosa, real quick, because I'm not exactly sure. Let me just
I
look
can
at
pull
the.
it up. I think I have it right here. P4.
Yeah, you're using the restaurant level because that's Yucca, so I think we're good. So Rosa,
Correct.
you don't have to create anymore. So you went to basically, there's no sense for you to create anymore, like you just mentioned. So we're through non-perishables. So we'll pick it up on bread.
And then complete there. So that's for creating general ledger accounts. That's the basics. And then load a journal entry. So the process to create, and because you are very hands-on, I'm going to explain this to you, not in a normal way I do, which is how to do it, and that's about it, but how to do it and why we have to do it that way. So you have the knowledge enough to move around it and the empowerment to actually do things, because most people just do what I tell them to do, but you are working on stuff that you are creating things. So you might want to have the information additional. So for the configuration package, that's what we use to import information. You have to use the global search, and then you look for configuration packages. This is what we use.
So what is it? CON?
Well, you don't have to type the whole name. I just type conf and package and PACK. But you just, if you just use, let's say pack, it will just come because there's not many other options for configuration packages.
Mm-hmm.
So in that option, I have 2 here.
Mm-hmm.
One is for the data migration. It has information on the customer vendors, GL accounts. That's master data. So that one we're not going to use at this moment because you want to do the journal entry. That is the one that comes with the system, is the big one that has a lot of information that we use for the initial setup. Because it has so much information, what I'm going to do is create a new one just with information you need. So you don't need to be looking for that table right here. To create a new configuration package, which is the tool you use to import and from the system, let's press new here. And then in general, give it a code. Let's say general journal. Then give it a name. And because I know exactly the table that you need to use is 81, you select the table that you want to use. You can also come here to the list. It will tell me that some tables are related. I just have to say yes and close it. It does the relation by itself. So you come here to the table ID, and then there's a full list of tables that you can import or export data from. Some of them will allow you to import the information. Some of them are not going to allow you to import information. For instance, you will not be able to import transactions to populate the tables that are related to posted transactions. You cannot just tell the system, this has been posted in the system. It's not how it works. You can populate the journal and then post the journal. And then you will have posted general ledger entries. But the posted general ledger entries table, you cannot import it. You can, though, you can export it, and that's why they are available here. So if by any means you need to see information on things that you have posted at any given point, you can use that table to take information out. But for some of the tables, you will not be able to import information. The list is the full list of tables, and if you want to look for something.
So on mine though, I think I lost the screen where I can't see your screen anymore.
Really?
So yeah, I can see, I don't know, did everybody else lose it? Yeah. So I can't see your screen.
Let me go again. Desktop. Can you see? Why? Why did it go away?
Okay, now it's back.
So where did you lose me?
Okay, so let me just replay what you said. Okay, so going to configuration package, this is where we import basically, or export, you said, I believe, data sets or templates.
Tables.
Tables, that's a better word, yes. And so this general journal you've already set up for us. This is our journal template, and you said it's 81, which I just wrote that down.
Table you are going to fill in.
Yep. So 81 is where we would go and we would upload or import, I guess is a better word, import
the journal entry.
The journal template that you created for us. Okay. Got it. Does everybody else understand that?
Kind of. So this configuration package is used for importing and exporting data tables.
Yes.
And then that's where I kind of lost you.
Well, she hasn't gone any further. That's it, right?
Exactly.
Oh,
so
okay.
you use this to import and export tables. Some tables you will be able to import them back. Some tables you will only be able to export them. The normal rule, the regular rule that you want to follow, number one, is to, instead of trying to import right away something that you prepare, export it first and then copy paste that information in the one that you exported, just in case the format has been changed anyhow, because it will give you errors. So that's what we normally do. Even though I send you a template and you've been working with it, what I will do is export this one, put the information in this one, and then import it back.
I see. So I was wondering why you were going this route. So that's because we had already put it in the template. So what you do is you go back into this, and then now you're going to export that template out, copy the information in the one that we populated, and then import it back in.
Exactly. If I know that I have not changed it, like let's say we do this now, and then you keep using the same format again, just changing the data, you don't have to do it again. But if we have been changing, saying you work on it and something, chances are that the format is not the same anymore, and then you're gonna get errors.
Okay.
You can try to import the one you said, but it might not be useful anymore.
Yeah.
So
I'd rather see this anyway. So show us how to do this.
So the moment I select the table, it brings all the fields for that table. In your case, you had a specific set of fields, I remember. So let me see your fields that you had. You have it like, it's not all of the fields on the table, it's very few fields. So what I will do is try to redo the same template, or I'll just put all of them and just select the column so you can look at it.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any reason why we would need to adjust it down. Well, I rather have all of them on there and then we'll just ignore it if we don't have data for it.
Okay. So after I have it like this, I am going to set this column here, the first one with the options. It's to show the dimensions as columns. So you have all the dimensions there as columns, as the way you have the information. Something went. Yeah, it happens because I have many databases open at the same time, so don't pay attention. It tries to tell me, make up your mind, girl. So set up as columns, and then now that I have it like that, Excel and export to Excel. Do you want to use just this one table? Yes. And then I have this Excel sheet here. When it comes up, this is the one that I have. Do you see my new Excel sheet?
Yep.
So what I'll do is right on top of it, I'll take your information and I'll have like the general, this is the same thing all the way through. So I'll just put this here on this values, and then when I complete this, I will just populate it downwards. Again, I'll take your numbers, and GL account is also something that is the same thing. And then Excel, that's your account number, and this I have to take all the way to the bottom because that's where we have the information. So I have to do this only once because we are redoing the template. If you had it in the same order, we didn't really need to do this again. So now that I have all this information in, I can.
I think, did you put it in the right spot? Because it looks like you put it in posting. And does it go in account?
Let me see. Yes, you are correct. You see, you are paying more attention than me.
I want to make sure that we do it right because you know how to fix the system if it blows up. We don't.
No, it will just give me an error. It will not accept these numbers as dates because this posting is date. So it will just not allow me to do that. And then let's take the posting date. Document type is going to be blank. Do you have a document number here? No. So what do you want to give this initial entry? Because we need a number.
The journal ID?
It's like the document number the system will use to do the entries to have it. You can have a journal entry number, and then we start using those journal entry numbers, and we tell the system just to use a regular increment, or you can decide like to have one initial balance number 1 or whatever. I don't know, May 2020, whatever number you want for the initial thing.
Yeah, in my old life, our document number, we called it a journal ID, would be basically what period it was for. So we would put the period. So it would be a series of things. So if I did the journal entry, it may be like HBR 20, so it will be FY20, so 20, and then basically P4. So can it be, I know it can be numbers and letters. So yeah, we should come up with a naming scheme, Christian and Natalia. For right now, just do it with Christian.
This one.
Just do, you can do, I put P4, go ahead and put CL. FY 20 P4. Yeah. We may not keep that, Natalia and Christian, but at least we'll know on this one. But I think that we should come up with something that's meaningful.
Then the description. You don't need the tax. You only need the amount. I don't need to see you here. This one, yes. So I'm gonna take this off because it's just in the lines that we were using for testing. So that's why, because I exported it, it's there. And then we'll have concept code. Let me see if they're in the same order. Cost center and entity. Where is it again? Here, concept code.
Ooh, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's why I normally take all this off and just use here, concept, cost, and entity. I have to copy it again because I lost it. take the information that you don't really need. From these two lines, that doesn't really matter. These we need to clear. I'm deleting this because we have something on the lines, but we should have these lines blank.
Yeah.
It's just because we were testing things there yesterday for the payment that we have some line information there. We should not have any of this. So having this information in, let me see if we're missing anything from here. That's about it. So now we have this journal with this line that we need to input. What I'm going to do is do something first, verify that the posting is correct, and then save this file. I'll save it to my own information here. And I have to close it because otherwise I'm not going to be able to use it. And then again to our database, which is here, we can import it. So let's go to Excel, import from Excel.
Go slower. You're going too fast. Okay, so go back to, so then we go to Excel.
Here, Excel, import from Excel.
Okay, import from Excel. Okay.
And then from the little screen that you receive, just choose, and you look for your file. I look for it in my folders. I get this confirmation screen that will, if I have more than one table, it will show all the tables. So to make sure that I select the ones that I need.
And then click import.
Then click import here on the top. Once it is imported, I have then now information on my package records.
Okay.
So because we have used the default general ledger, let me go to the default general journal to see how it looks like, to make sure that we are not overwriting anything. So in the general journals, this is the default, it's empty, it's blank, so we are ready to go. Let me see again if the default has a number series. So I'll take this off because I want to use the number that you gave it to the system. If I leave it like that, it will use the number that the system has. So by leaving the number series blank, it will use the number that we have set in the system, that P20, I don't remember, very long number that you have. So let's go back to our configuration package. In the configuration package, now that I have information here, I can apply the package. So in package or in process, apply package.
Wait, you're going too fast. Slow down. Slow down. Okay, package.
Process.
Oh, sorry, process.
Apply package.
Apply package.
When I do, the system asks me if I want to apply it. Yes.
Yes.
And if there's any errors, they will come up. So it's working on it. Tell me one table was processed, 0 errors found, 31 records inserted, and zero records modified. If I press OK, and I go back to my general journal, now I have the information in the journal. So now you need to review it, look at it, whatever. What I see here is that I have a balance, and I should not have a balance. This should be 0 because I have to have the same amount of debits and credits. So if I do this, I'm missing one line at least, something I did not copy correctly because you have 0 here.
Yep. So I got to do it again?
what I'll do is, yeah, kind of. What I'll do is open the journal again, copy the information on the one. You have this like this, teeny weeny numbers.
Huh? What'd you say?
This is what I copy.
Yep. It
And
equals
it's
0.
come up to 0. Why is not coming up there? At least one line has a difference, either in the number or the date.
Rosa, I'm looking at the
Journal.
I don't see a balance at all.
You don't see 13 there?
Nope.
How come?
Well, isn't it the total of the 2 credits? Go back.
No, this should be 0 here. Delete this line just in case. I mean, it's not going to allow me to post it because it has a balance here. Let me see if it's because I had additional information and maybe I have a debit or something. No, I don't have anything here.
Those 2 top numbers on the first 2 lines, the 2 of them total 13 whatever. Do we have that formatted wrong?
Well, hold on. In the Business Central, there's a balance and then there's a total balance. The balance is 0. The total balance is the amount of the entry, 1387.42.
This came up without the numbers. I don't know why.
Yeah.
These 2 initial lines.
Those are the credits. So did we potentially format those incorrectly?
I don't know. They are supposed to have the same as the others.
Yeah, maybe because they have a negative sign.
No, I don't think it should matter. Because it should have given me an error in any case.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if having it as text helps. Then let's take it from the original, put it back here. Say it again. And let's go back to a package, import it again, Excel import. Import again. Let me see what the information that is coming here on the package so we can look at the numbers from here.
Yeah, they're coming through. Oh, no, it came through that time.
Huh?
It looks like it came through that time.
Yeah, this time it came through. So from here I can select them all and do it also from here, the application of the package. You have that option as well. If I now go to my general journal, I'm still not getting that. Why?
Can you go back to where you were at before? What? Can you show me the where you were just at?
I think I know why, actually. Yeah,
What?
on the other file, you had a column that had debit, and it showed 0, so it might be overwriting the amount.
Yeah.
Oh, you see, you are.
Yeah.
That's why. But it normally the amount goes over. I mean, takes over the rest of the stuff because the other ones are calculated based on the amount. So that should not matter, but yeah, it could be. Again here, close it. You see, that's why sometimes it takes a little bit to import files. It normally just the first time, once you have it set and it's already working, it's just the same repetitive stuff.
I'm good with it having an issue the first time we do it so that we can, because we've gone over it now a couple times. It's helpful to see how to problem solve with it. There.
We have the data. Let me see if there are no zeros there. It should work. Okay, now we have balance zero. So once you have it like this and you have all the dimensions and everything in the system, we can post.
What about this balance that shows negative 9,748.94? What's that?
The column, the balance amount here is referring to the line. So if I go to the second line, it should change. If I go to the second line, is the amount that is adding up. So if I go all the way to the bottom, it should go back to zero again because it's just adding up. It's like the balance. And then the total balance here is giving me the full amount.
Okay. So total balance needs to be zero.
Yeah. So I can do the preview posting. That helps me know if there's any errors before I actually post it. I don't see any error messages here, so it will eventually post.
Let me ask you a question. So since we kept doing that over and over, does it just keep overwriting it until
overwriting it?
Yeah, until you post.
Until I post. And whenever we have something important that have different dates, it will also show me just one date here.
Okay.
So post.
Okay, go slow, go slow. Post, what is it? Post print.
Post and print if you want to have a printout of the entry. Preview posting is what we just saw, and then post just to post it. So if I go post, press yes, it's already posted.
Great.
So that is how you import a file and post it in the system.
Okay. So let me ask you a question about the journal entries. So if we start posting journal entries now, like other periods, when you move this into production, will it just carry those things over with it?
No, we'll have to import this again in production.
Okay, so then we're not going to do anything more unless we want to practice a little bit, and that might be helpful too. But we won't do too much because I don't want to duplicate everything. So, all right, great.
It doesn't take that. I mean, once the hard part is to get it to work. Once you have the proper format and all that kind of stuff, you just repeat it again more than once. But you're right. If this is enough for you to see the information and see how it's gonna look, then fine. And when we do this in production right away.
Yeah. Okay. Great. That was helpful.
So the next thing in your list is to create a new vendor.
Right.
So let's go to the initial screen, purchasing, vendors. I have this one line that we created yesterday, but we can always go to press new, and it opens up the two templates, vendor templates that I have in the system. The only difference between these two is that this has a transfer, like bank transfer as a default payment method. This one has cash. So it will kind of auto pay when you do an invoice. That's the only thing that has. You can create as many templates as you want to. If you want to have different, like if you have different type of vendors and you want to put some of the information by default, you can always do that.
Okay, so this vendor that we gave to you is a market partner, and this will be one that we do a transfer with, a bank transfer.
So Epic Bytes Miami.
Right.
This one. Did you have the template for the vendor? This one. We can import it if you want, but we can just create it so you learn how to create the vendor.
Yeah,
so
let's
this will
just
be number
let's do that.
73, right?
Yep.
So let's go back to our application. I will rename it because it's trying to use the initial number from the system. And then the name is this one. I'm just copy pasting. You have name 2, which is not showing here. Let's show it by personalizing my screen. In settings, personalize, and then add field. Name 2, I'll put it here. And done. So now that I have it available, let's put it here. And then the address. Miami and Michael Smyrna. So again, this is the contact not in the contact code because you don't have a contact code created yet, but in the contact, I'm gonna put the name. So when I put the name in the contact, the system creates a new contact code for that person.
I see.
So this is in Miami. Let me see if we have the code for that, whatever code you have here, 23135. So it's there. You don't need to put all the information. The rest of the things you have is the phone number and 7 days, bank payment. These other things are there by default. So like domestic is coming by default because we already have it set up in the template. And then is 7 days and bank because we already have the 7 days set up in the template as we did yesterday. We changed it yesterday.
Yep.
So again, email, that on the address. Federal ID number should be here somewhere. There you go.
Would the system recognize if the number is invalid, like if it was missing a digit?
No, it's
Okay.
not set up for that kind of controls. And the only thing you will have is the entity as a default dimension. So on the customer, on the vendor card, everything is kind of set. You're not going to be having the tags at the moment set up. So it doesn't matter if we leave it blank. And then in related information, vendor dimensions, we indicate the entity. You open this little screen for the default dimensions. We are telling the system which default dimensions this vendor is going to use for all the entries. At the moment, the only one we can set is the entity, which is going to be the same for everything. So if you had any other dimension that is only related to this vendor, you can use it here.
Okay.
So that is what you need for the vendor.
And what about the bank information? Where do we put that at?
So the bank information, do you have it in the sheet as well? Yes.
Yeah.
So for the bank information on the vendor card, once we have it here in related information, vendor bank accounts is the second option right below dimensions. You create the new account. So let me see what you have here. The vendor code Citibank, new bank, and name Citibank.
Is that right? Is code supposed to be Citibank?
That's what is there. It doesn't really matter. It's just a code. You could give it a different code.
Yeah, we may. What does that really do? What does code really do?
No, the system needs a unique code for all of the different lines in a table. So if you could put here 1, 2, 3, 4, and the only thing that you will see is that this vendor has 4 different banks, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have to select one of those whenever you're doing any transaction. It's just a code, and it has to be unique for each one of the bank that you create for this vendor.
Okay, let's just use 1.
1 instead of Citibank. So the other information we have here is the account number. Transit. And you only have the country there. So at the moment, that's what we need.
Do we have to put a currency code in there, or will it default to US dollars?
Default is default. The blank is default. If you had additional currency that is not US, then you have to specify it. But
Okay.
the default currency is blank for all the entries, so you don't have to specify it. That's why we don't create it US.
Okay, got it.
I think you might have 1 or 2, created there just by default, but you can create new ones if you want them.
Okay.
So blank is US, everything is there as that. There's some information might be needed here. I have your file that you sent me, but I'll need to check what else we need on, and the system would ask us for it whenever we do the initial setup. So, yeah.
So let me ask you a question on these vendors. Will we have to can you migrate these vendors over to the
Yes.
product? Okay.
What we will do is with the same, instead of having to fill out anything again, what we will do is this big package that we have here, the one that the big one that has so many tables. This one has most of the information you need for the initial setup. The vendor is there. So what we will do is take the vendor and the vendor bank account to take it. So we will just take the whole package with all the information that is in the database and put it there, send it back there to the new production environment.
So the only thing that it doesn't pull over is just the data, the GL data.
Exactly, the entries. We will just pull all the master data and all the setup. That's what we normally do. This whenever this is ready, that you have all the vendors here, that you have all the accounts, that you have most of everything. So whenever we do that, you don't have to do much more manual stuff in production.
Okay. So from my perspective, and Natalia and Christian, correct me if I'm wrong, we have the upload file. We have a call tomorrow afternoon that is on Salesforce, and there's a little bit of concern that maybe some of the data may change a little bit, but I don't know that it will or it won't. So we're going to wait to load any more vendor data until after that call tomorrow. Okay. But I don't know that we necessarily need that to move into production, because basically everything that we're going to do from this point forward is loading entries. The chart of accounts is already there. We've already kind of vetted that. Mm-hmm. What else usually happens before you move to production?
No, we do set up the vendors if you have a list, but that is because it's just two particular tables. We can set up production and then just move it whenever you're ready. Move everything now and then just move the vendors whenever you have them ready. Or just import them directly in production once you have the information too. That is also an option because that is just a specific table. What we need to find out is if it's the way you want it is the dimension structure setup. Now we're going to see the result of the entry that you posted in the system now. That initial entry. We're going to see how it looks, how we can navigate the information. I'm going to show you how to do that. So if you can take a look at it and see, yeah, this is the way I want to see the information. If that is the way, then we move all the dimensions there and everything else.
Okay.
So we have created a vendor. The only last thing that we have here is the setup for the file. And then we need to do that in production. So let's go ahead and see how is this vendor is already ready to use. So we can do anything with it. It has the connection to the accounting because it's using the domestic group. It has all the information on the bank and everything. So this one is ready. For us to look at the information, let's go to the chart of accounts. That's one way of seeing it. And you see you have the cash here. I don't know what other things you want to look from here indeed, but we can then now look at the information per dimension. So you have some expense, some income, and some cost of goods. So we have some information here. Mm-hmm. For you to look at the information directly in the chart of accounts, this is one way of looking at it. The other way is looking at the information from the category side. So you have it all kind of summarized per the subcategories that you have. Mm-hmm. So you have the information like this. The other way of looking at the information is looking at the balances based on the balance per dimension, based on the global dimensions. So I have here this balance by dimension, and you get it by going to finance, chart of accounts, and once in the chart of accounts, you have here related and balance. You have information on the account in particular. So if I go to these options, they're related to this account that I have the cursor on. So I could see the ledger entries for that particular account, comments, dimensions, whatever I have related to that account. If I go to balance, it's for the whole chart of accounts. So I'm going to look at the balance by dimension. And then in this balance by dimension, I have like a little setup screen to see, to tell the system what I want to see. So in this case, I want to see information, but I have one period there. So it makes no sense for me to look at information with columns as periods because everything is in May only. So I want to see things by cost center. Let's say I want everything from January. So I have May there, which is the entry that we have. So I have set up a date filter, but at the moment it comes to show me information by default as per day. So it's just taken, by default, it takes today's date. Let's say I want the year, so I include everything. So it will just pop it from here to December. On this part here, it's just how I want to see the information. What will be my lines and what will be my columns? I'm going to see the general ledger accounts as lines. And for the accounts, I'm going to see as columns everything per cost center. That's one way of looking at the information. On the filters, I indicate what information I want to see. I want to see information for a particular period. I want to see information for a particular set of accounts. If I'm working with budgets, I can filter a budget. So I would see information only compared to one particular budget. Or I can use information like have seed information, but if I had periods here, let's say I have several months of entries, I could filter information per cost center. So I will have general ledger as lines, like all the accounts, then the months, let's say in January, February, March as columns, and then I could see, well, I only want to see all the information for this particular cost center. So I could see then my entries per period and then filter by one cost center. In your case, you have only information on Yucca, so everything is going to be on that one. It makes no sense to make a filter for that one. The other filter that I get here by default is the platform because we set up that as the second global dimension. But if you are using more, or if you normally use more other criteria to look at your balance sheet or your accounts, then we need to change it in the general ledger setup. So you have this option here. The options, which is the third portion of this balance by dimension, allows you to play around a little with information. So you can show actual amounts, you can show budget amounts, you can show only the variance, and this has to do with what columns you are looking at, or variance per percentage, or an index, depends on what you're looking at.
You just lost your screen again.
Why?
Okay.
I think it has to do with the connection. Do you see it again?
Yep.
Okay. So I was telling you that the options part of the screen allow you to work with the amounts that you're looking at, like actual amounts, budget amounts, or variance or percentage, depending on what you want to see in the screen. Then you can see the amounts, or only the debits, or only the credits. Normally, amount is what you normally include. If you want to include closing entries, this is whenever you already have in the system fiscal years that have been closed. So if you want to include the 13 period, or the closing entry into the information that you are looking at, by default it comes to include it. So if you're looking at P&L information, you will see that it will just include information for the current period. And then the rounding factors normally set to none, but you can also, if you have like many decimal places, or many information, like a whole lot of big, like in Mexico or Colombia, that you have a whole lot of numbers, you could also round things to the thousands or so. Then you can also show amounts in additional currency. That is, if you are using an additional currency for reporting, that's not your case. Or you can use the column name instead of the code. So let's press this one. So instead of a code, I will have the name of the dimension. And then in the matrix option is when you tell the system how to see the information. We're going to look at information per the year now, because we want to see all that is there. We want to see the net change, but you can also see the balance at date. And then the column set, this one here, is dependent on these columns that we have selected. Now that I have set up my view, then I can show my matrix. So I go to show matrix, and I have this screen here that shows me the information based on these cost centers that I have in the system. So did we get this right?
Yeah. That's right.
So you have information on, this is the total, and then this will tell you where is everything, and with the accounts here. So that's one way of looking at the information. You can always look at it by the codes if you want. Instead of the numbers, you see, instead of the name of the, so it all depends on what you want to look. You can also see not the cost center, but the platform. So you can play around with the information, and depending on how you posted the information, you will see the information posted in the system. In this case, we did not use that dimension for this entry, at least, so we don't have it for that dimension.
So a couple questions. How can we, where is an income statement in here? So if I want to just look at what the income statement looks like, where's that? So the system comes with several reports that you can use, like trial balance and all that kind of stuff. I think there's a standard P&L or something. But what you normally would do is you would set up your own P&L and balance sheet. There's part of the time that I have to build with you is to build at least one balance sheet and one P&L. The tool to do that is in finance account schedules. On the account schedules, you kind of design the columns and lines layout that you want to P&L to look like, or your balance sheet to look like. The system comes with these sample reports, like balance sheet. It has a cash flow forecast, an income statement, return earnings.
This is like sample information. So if you try to press one of these, it will tell you that these are the samples and they are automatically updated. So whenever you get a new version of the system, it will overwrite it. So whatever modifications you do to it, it will be kind of what it's asking is, do you want to make a copy out of it? So let's make a copy. And what I normally do is, so they come up first here in the list, is that I give it a number 1 and then P&L. So now that I have this, I have the initial setup. Why didn't I use the one that I just created? This one. So the P&L that we have here, it has these lines. This is the standard that comes with the system. This is our sample. The only thing that we need to do is change these accounts, because this is probably not your own accounts. So let's say for me, what means income, maybe you don't even use income and services. You have a different layout. And that's what we normally use your P&L sample statements for, to build this with you.
Okay. So it technically isn't built right now, but we will build it.
So it's there for you. There's trial balances and stuff that comes with the system, but if you want to see a P&L, we have to build it.
Okay.
So, and then just change the accounts here. Then I don't know, like for services, you might not have that one. Your income is, I think, a number 3 or number 2. No,
yeah, I think it's 3. Yeah, those are all the 3s.
Here. So I don't know if you have anything for services, but let's say
none of that's populated right now. It's okay. We can we're over the time anyways. It's 5:04. So I think that this is a good start for us to at least get back together tomorrow, talk about it, knowing that we can do vendors and chart of accounts, but we shouldn't really, we can test another file. We can do it on try to do it on our own for an upload for the GL stuff. But that being said, when do you think that you'll move this to production?
What I can do is start doing all the initial standard setup now. I can move things that you will not change much, like payment terms, the zip codes, the chart of accounts. I can move, but you're going to be creating new accounts. So I will probably have to move again, but I can start with something and start moving all those things, and then just leave the vendors for the last, because you don't have any yet.
And we don't have to, I don't think we'll need to create very many more accounts. So ideally, like, you tell me, when do you think is realistically that you can have the system in production?
No, if I start moving everything today, I definitely will have it by Friday morning.
Okay. Well, then we just won't do anything more. I mean, we'll practice in the test module, uploading the journal entries, because I think we probably could use the practice of that. But the other stuff we'll just hold off until Friday, because tomorrow's Thursday already. So by Friday, then we can start live in the system, and then that'll give us time to go through our training that we have on Salesforce, because it's not until tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
And
perfect.
then we'll be ready on Friday as well.
Whatever new things that you find out in that training, things that you might want to change or something, you just bring it over, and we do it in both databases then.
Yeah. I don't think anything that they're going to say will change the guts of what we have. It may change how we bring in their data, but not the chart of accounts or the dimensions or any of that. I don't foresee that changing, what they're doing, changing that.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
All right, great. Natalia, Christian, anything? No, they're saying no.
So if you have any questions, or if you come up with any errors while trying to import the data, just give me a shout, because normally it gives these little errors. And you see, even me, I do it all the time, many times a week, and I still have these little things that important information in the system, because it has the controls to validate the data. Normally it takes a while. So if you have anything that you can't find, or you don't realize what is it, just let me know, and I'll just give you the answer right away by me.
Okay, don't worry. You're on speed dial now at this point. So we will definitely reach out. All right. Well,
Okay.
thank you and have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.